So by the end of this video, we are going to make WhatsApp UI in Flutter, and this will be covered for both web and Android, for mobile phones basically. So this will be a responsive UI, and when the screen size changes, it will shift to the web screen, and this is the web screen, and this is just a simple working of the WhatsApp. So let's get started. Hello guys, so today we are going to make a WhatsApp UI, okay, and this will all be done in Flutter. So to do that, I've just made a new Flutter project, and yeah, let's get started. So first of all, I'll just do the renaming, okay, and we'll remove this. We'll remove the spoiler code, and I'll just make a new folder as screens, okay, and the screens we want two screens, okay. So first of all, I'll make a web screen dot same goes for mobile screen dot okay. So okay, and we want the material package over here, so I'll just do this, and the same we want in the web screen dot. This will be web screen, okay, and we're going to rename it. Okay, so we are going to make the Flutter UI for both the web version and the mobile version. So if you have noticed, the web version works a bit differently than the mobile version. So we are going to set the constraints, or we can or in simple words, we will set the minimum width, and then we will decide that if the width crosses that limit, we want to show the web version, and if it's below that, we want to show the mobile version. Okay, so to do that, first we are going to make a responsive layout. So let's just make over here layout dot. Okay, so what this will do is basically tell us, or tell the application to whether show the mobile version or the web version. Okay, so we'll keep a stateless widget over here, and let's just say responsive layout. Okay, and here we will get two things from the constructor, and this will be a final, let's say mobile screen. And no, just leave it, let's just keep it as mobile screen, and we want the web screen. Okay, so we change it to web screen, and here we will do is as required this dot web screen, and the same we will do for the mobile screen. Okay, so this is done. Now here we want to check for the constraints, or we want to check for the size, whether the width is greater or not. Okay, okay, so we will use the layout builder. Okay, and in the layout builder, what we will use is that we will get a builder, and the builder will give us the constraint context, or let's just leave it as okay. So we will type it as context and the constraints. Okay, and what is left over here. Okay, require this, we are going doing. Okay, so we want to do something like this. So here we are going to check for the constraints. Okay, constraints dot width dot max width is greater than, or let's just say less than 900. Okay, so when we are doing 900, it generally means that we want to show the same mobile screen for our tablets. Okay, So because the tablets are mostly greater than this width, so if we keep the width smaller, uh, we will show the web version of the application in the tablets, and we don't want that. So in general, WhatsApp shows the same mobile version in the tablets, so we are going to do this for this. Okay, so what we want to do is that if the max width is smaller than 900, we want to return the mobile screen, else we want to return the web screen. Okay, so let's just label it screen. Okay, and in the same we are going to do for return the mobile screen. Okay, so here we are going to return responsive layout. Okay, so here I'm going to set a text. Okay, so we have made the web screen and the mobile screen. Okay, so we are done with this web screen, and wait a second, I was getting a suggestion over there. Okay, we will have to remove this, and let's just set the type as well. It will be a widget, and the same will be over here as well. Okay, so this is done, and let's just close it. So now we want to work on the mobile screen and as well as the web screen. So first of all, we are going to work on the mobile screen. Okay, so what I've done over here is that we want to use some colors for our app. Okay, so I made this, and it all just defines, and I'll just put it in the GitHub. I'll put the link of it, and this is the background image URL. Okay, but while uploading I will just change it so it will be easier for you guys. So what we want over here is that first of all we want to set the UI, the theme of our app. Okay, so here we are, and yeah, okay, so we want to change the theme, and first of all I want to remove the check banner and set it to false. Okay, so this is false, and the next thing I want over here is that we want to set the theme data, and let's just remove it. Theme data dot dark. We want the theme data dot dark, and we want to use all the properties of this, and with some exception. So we want to use the copy width, and in the copy width we will keep the scaffold background color to background color. Okay, so this background color will be this. Okay, so that's all, and let me just, okay, so here I'll just put the mobile screen. I just forgot that I've already made those, so let's just make it as web screen. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so in the mobile screen we want to we need tab controllers. Okay, so what are tab controllers? It's basically a default. We will use the default tab controller. So to make a UI, okay, let me just run this app, and then I'll show you what I really mean. Okay, it will be a live change, so it will be easier for you guys to understand. Okay, so my app is running, and as expected it doesn't show anything because we haven't used anything for now. Okay, so let me just do this, and yeah, so what you want over here is basically I will be making the UI for the mobile screen, and the mobile screen, this basically illustrates that it's a mobile screen. So this thing will be done. Okay, so let's just make a child and put a simple text that says hi, and it should show. Okay, so it's showing, so it means that it is basically working in the responsiveness, and if I increase the width of this, it changes to the web screen. Okay, so it's working. So the next thing, okay, so what you want over here is that we want to use the default tab controller. So it will be a default tab controller. Okay, so in the default tab controller we want to give the length explicitly because we know that it will be 3. Okay, so the next thing we want is that we want a child, and the child will be a scaffold. In the scaffold we want to set an app bar, and the app bar, let me just indent it. Okay, so in the app bar we want to give a title, and first of all we want to give an app bar. Okay, so in the app bar what we want is that we want to give a title, and the title will be text. Okay, and it will be WhatsApp. Okay, so we want to obviously change the styling of this text. So in the style we will write text style, and the text style will be, we want to give the color as colors dot gray. Okay, and we will keep the font size at 25, and we want to set the font weight to font weight dot bold. It's all on the personal preference, and if you want you can just change the text and the sizes wherever you want and wherever you like. So it's not really a okay, so this is showing WhatsApp. Okay, but it doesn't look quite good. So what we want is that I want to change the text size to, let's say, 26. Okay, and okay, so it looks quite good. Okay, so one thing I forgot was that I wanted to give a background color, and in the background color I want to give it I wanted to give app bar a background color. Okay, because you know in WhatsApp the background is not like this, so I want to give a background color, and the background color will be app bar mobile app bar color. It will be a mobile app bar color. Okay, it's the same color that I have made in this file. Okay, so if we just restart our app, it should show the changes. Okay, so it looks a bit nice. So one thing is that in the iOS devices the app bar text will be centered automatically, but we don't want that, so we will set the centered title to false. Okay, one thing we want over here is that we want some actions. Okay, so the actions will be, we want an icon button. Okay, so in the on press we won't be giving anything right now, and the icons will be icons dot, the first icon is of search. Okay, and the color, okay, let me just make it into an icon, so it's an icon. Then we want to use icons dot search, and the color will be colors dot gray. Okay, it will be colors dot gray. Okay, so let's just wait for it to restart and check if it's look fine now. Okay, it's loaded and it looks quite good. So we'll just copy this and paste it, because we want one more icon, and this will be the icons but more, and it will be vertical. Okay, and the colors will be colors.gray. Okay. Okay, so it looks like the UI of WhatsApp. And the next thing we want is, in the bottom we want to use a tab bar. Okay, so the tab bar will basically be allow us to change between the screens. Okay, so first of all I'll provide some attributes of the tab bar, and then I'll set the tabs. So first of all, I want to set the indicator color, and indicator color will be the tab color. This color is from here, the tab indicator color. Okay, and the next thing I want is the indicator weight. The weight will be, let's say, 4, and the label color, the label which will be showing in the tabs, that label. Okay, so the label color will be colors.gray, and when unselected, I'll just show you when we are working on it. So the next thing I want is the tabs. So in the tabs I want to give it as padding, so it will just allow us to differentiate between the text and it will look a bit good. So let's just give it a standard value of 8. And the next thing I want is the child, and the child will be a text, and the text will be chats. Okay, so let's just restart it and we will see it, and we might get an error over here, might. Okay, so here I've given this text, so I'll just, okay, so as you can see, it provides us an error because we gave the controller length property to 3 and it is 1 right now. The tabs limit is 1, so I'll just copy it and paste it 3 times. Okay, so now it should run and it's working fine. Okay, so as you can see, it looks quite good, and it's just like the standard UI on mobile of WhatsApp. Okay, so here we want to change it to status, and it will be I guess it shows a calls. Okay, so it's calls. Okay, so when we restart the app, you can see that it shows quite good, but let's just make it to this and status, and the same we'll do for the calls. Okay, so now it looks fine. Okay, so one thing we want to do is that we want to set the unselected color to gray. Okay, let me just unselected label color, and this will be colors.gray. so now the text, when it is unselected, it will look a bit good. Okay, so the next thing we want is that we want to set the label style, because it's a bit different from the actual UI. So we'll set the text style, and the text style will be, so first of all we want to set the font weight, and font weight, and the font weight dot, let's keep it to 900, and let's see what it does. I think it's good. You might even change it if you want. It's all in personal preference, but I like it like this. So the font size will be, let's say, 16, and check it. Okay, I think it's good, as of now. And if you want, you can do any other changes if you want. I don't want it, so yeah, I won't do it. Okay, so here what I've done is, so in here if you notice, let me just wait. Okay, so in here if you notice, when we're changing, the indicator is changing but the text color doesn't change. So why is that? We have given it the color gray, and here we want to give it as tab color. So now when we change it, the text color will also change. Okay, so this is done, and just not giving me suggestions, and I'm waiting for it. Okay, uh, okay, so yeah, this is done. The next thing I want over here is that in the tab bar I've given the tab, and in the add bar I've done this. So the next thing I want is that I want to give a floating action button, because we have an option to start the chat with someone. So we are going to use a floating action button. Here we provide a floating action button. So in the floating action button we are going to need an on press, and the on press will not have anything as of now. The next thing we want is the background color of this, and this will be the tab color, same as that text, that color of our text and the indicators. So the next thing is we will need a child, and the child will be an icon. And as we are already using the floating action button, we have an on press over there, so we don't need an icon button over here. It's a simple thing. So we are going to set it as icon dot comment. Okay, and it will be, okay, icons dot comment, it will be icons. So here we want to give the icons dot comment, and the color will be colors dot white. So if you see this, it will show the floating action button over here. Just make it a constant. Okay, so as you can see that it shows the simple UI of our Flutter, our WhatsApp UI. Okay, so the next thing we want is that in here we want to show the chats screen. Okay, and how we are going to make this, let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to make, let's say I'm going to make a folder as pages. Okay, so the pages will differentiate from the screens, and the pages I want to give it as chats page dot dot, and in the chats page dot dot we are going to make a stateful widget, and it will be chats page, and let's just make it as material dot dot. Okay guys, so here we are, and now what we want is that we want to show a list of chats available to the user. Okay, and just like WhatsApp shows the different chats for different users. Okay, so this is a sample data, and the sample data we have a messages, okay, and the user profile data. Okay, so it's gotten from some site. Okay, and I don't own this data, but it's a sample data to basically be used in our app. And to do that, we are going to go in the mobile screen, and I made this chats page, and in the chats page I want to return with a single child scroll view. So basically a single child scroll view will allow us to move the widgets, and we will be able to move that. So next thing I want over here is that I want to give a child that will be a column. So in the column I want to give a list view. Okay, so first of all I want to give the children. I was getting this error. Okay, so this will be a list view dot builder, because the builder is used when we don't know the item length, and we just allow our app to make the thing of what we want. Like, let's say in this case we want a list style, so it will make a list style of all the chats or the number it is given by the chats. So in this case, let's say our chats have item count. So in this case we are giving this item count, and this item count will basically tell the list view dot builder that how many items are present over there. Okay, so in this case what we have is data, and in the data we have 1 2 3 4 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, so we have 10 items in this case. So we will just do it as data dot, so first let me import it as data, and then we will use length. Okay, so in the it basically is just like a list. Okay, so the list have these values. Okay, and it's a dynamic list, so it can contain these values. So we have used data.length, so it provides us with 10. Okay, and the next thing we want over here is that we want to use the context and the index. So it will be just like this, and let me just remove it. Okay, so here we want to return the list style. Okay, so the list style will basically tell us that we want to move to the other screen. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is that I can give it directly, or I can change it, and I'll just show you how we can change it. So first of all I'm going to make, let's say, a widget, and this widget will basically, let me just make it as widget, and this will be let's say tile. Okay, so we are naming it as tile, and this will take an index value, and then we will return the inkwell. So the inkwell will basically be used so that we can so that when we touch, or we can select that a particular chat, we are moved to the next screen, the original chat screen where all the chats happen. So here we want to use the inkwell, and in the inkwell we will give a child. We will use the ontap function of the inkwell, but we won't use it now. We will use it after some time when we are done with all the things. So here I want to give it an column. So in the column we will have children. So in the children I want to give a list child. I could have given it directly, but I don't want that. We want to do some changes over here, and the changes are that we want to provide a divider down after the list style has shown. So that's why we are using this. And so now we want to give in the leading we want to give a circular avatar, because the chats are always showing in a circle. So we want to give it as a background image, and the background image. So the background image will be a network image, and it will be a provider. So here in the network image I want to give the URL of that image. Okay, so the image URL will be this. Okay, so how to access that? first of all we will use info, it will be data, and in the data what we want is that we want to give the index value that we are getting from the parameter, and then what we want is that we want to give it as profile pic, or you can just copy it from here. This is the same attribute we are providing over here, that we want to use this thing. Okay, so then what we want to do is that we want to give it as a string, so it considers it a string. Okay, so we have provided the list style. What we want to do is, or wait a second, we can just return a tile and the index will be provided. So next thing I want is that we want to give the name as well. Okay, so here we want to give the name as well, so we'll do the leading is done. So the next thing we want over here is the title, and in the title we are going to provide the name. Okay, so what we will do is that we will give it as like this, and in the text, or we can do one more thing over here is that we can use we can say that data. Okay, or we can rename it to something like info, and in the info what we can do is that we can get this and paste it over here. Okay, so it will get the info, it will get the data at that index, and then what we can do is that we can get it to info.profile. the same we can do over here as info, and the next thing we want is the name of the user over here, and we want to change it to string, because it doesn't know that it's a string because it's a dynamic value for it. So here what we can do over here is that we want to change the style. One thing is that, let me just get that over here, the chat space, let me just show it over here. So in the body we can use chats page, and it should show us showing an error over here. Obviously I have not given the text style, so let me just give it text style, and the text style, let me just use the font, and it will be 60. So let's just rerun our app and wait for the changes, that if they happen or not. The changes should show because I've given the chat space, the list3.builder is working, so yeah, it should work. Okay, for some reason I'm getting an error. Okay, yeah, we have to use shrink wrap to true because we are using it in a column, and the column is encapsulated in the list view, single child scroll view. Okay, so as you can see that we are getting the names, the images, as well as the text, that is name of the users. So what more we want over here is that we want to show some message, or the last message in the subtitle. So we are going to give a subtitle, and the subtitle we are going to use the same thing. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it over here. Okay, so here I want to give it as a message, because here let me just show the data. So in the data, this is the message. Okay, so this is what we will be showing in the subtitle. Okay, so in the subtitle I've given this 16, so let me just change the size, and let's say it's 13, and let's just see how it's looking. So it's looking good, but what we can do here is that we can give some padding and the padding will be, let's say, 8, and let's see how it's looking. Okay, it looks a bit bad, so what we can do is that it looks good from the top, so let's just make it top and let's just give it to 5. Okay, and I guess it should look good. So yeah, it's looking a bit better than the previous one. So the next thing we want is that we want to show the time over here, because in the WhatsApp the time is shown over here. So we are going to show the trailing, and in the trailing we want to show the time. So it's just basically the same like this. So we are going to copy it and paste it over here, and I'm going to provide it as time. The font size will be 13 and the color will be, let's just see how it looks and if there is a need to change the color. Okay, the color is a bit white, so let's just make it colors dot gray. Okay, so now it will match the text color. Let's just wait for it. Okay, it looks much better than the previous one. So the next thing I want is that I want to give a divider when the list style is shown. So I want to show a divider. So the divider will basically be used to differentiate between the chats, and let's just give the divider color. It will be the same color in the colors file. Okay, and we will give indent to 75, and let's just see how it looks. Okay, it looks good. So this is done, and the next thing we want over here is that we want to design the same thing for our web. So let's get started over there. Okay, so here we are, and today the next thing we want is that in the web screen we want to use, okay, so I'll just remove it because I don't need it, and here I want a scaffold. So we have done the web thing previously, and now we are going to work on the, sorry, we have done the mobile thing previously, and now we are going to work on the web UI of WhatsApp. So here we are going to make a body. So first of all, we are going to divide the screen into two parts, because in the WhatsApp web the left side contains the chats and the right side contains the messages. Okay, so what we want is that we will use a row, and in the row, in the body, we are going to use the row, and in the row the first thing will be, we want to set the cross axis alignment, and we want it to stretch it. So the next thing we want is that we want to provide the children. Let me just put this. Okay, so we want to provide the children, and here the first thing I want is that I want to, in the left side, I want to use the, I want to show the user's profile, because it's the same thing in WhatsApp. So I'm just going to do that, and first of all I'm going to use expanded, because so it expands to all the place it can take. And then we will use a single child scroll view, because we also have to show the users and we will have to scroll in it. So yes, I'm going to use child, and in the child I want to give the column. So the column will contain, first of all, we will have three screens. So it will be the profile bar. So let's just keep it as profile. Then the search bar, and then the message, the what was that, the chats. Okay, so this is done. So now what we want is that we will make all these three widgets, and then we will just put them over here. So let me just make a folder as widgets, and in here let me just make another folder as web. So let's just leave it because it's working. So in the widgets, first of all, I want a web profile bar. So let me just make it as web profile bar dot. So in the web profile bar, what we want to do is that we want to show the user's image, like over here, and then what we want is that we want to provide buttons over there. So first of all, it will be a stateless widget. Sorry, it will be a stateless widget. Okay, and in this we will use web profile bar. So let me just make it as material package. Okay, so scaffold. Okay, so in the web profile bar we want to use a container. So in the web profile bar I am going to use the container, but first of all I want to give the size, because I said it previously that we are going to divide the screen into two parts. The right side will be for the chats, the messages, and the left side will be for showing all the users. Okay, just like in this case. So we are going to get the size of the screen, and then we are going to decide what we want to do. So first of all I'm going to get the size from media query, and it will be dot of context. Then I want to get the size. Okay, so the next thing I want is I want to use a container, and in the container I want to give the height, and the height will be size dot height. But what we want is that we want to give the left 30% to the chats, just like this, and the rest 70% we want it to be used for the messages in our application. So it's just like how the WhatsApp works. So we are going to give it as 0.077, and width will be size dot width, and it will be 0.30. okay, and we can change the numbers if you want, but we will just keep it to this. So the padding will be h insets dot all, and it will be, let's say, 10. Okay, so next thing we want is that we want to use the decoration for our user, for our web profile bar. So we are going to give the decoration, and it will be a box decoration, and in the box decoration we want to set the border, and the border will be border, the white border, and the border side will be color, and we will use the divider color over here. It's the same color in the colors file. It's the same color over here, divider color. Okay, so we have done done with the divider color, and we are also want the decoration, because we want the container color to be the same as the web bar. So we are going to, okay, so this is the border color, and where is the box decoration? Okay, so in the box decoration we want to set the color, and this will be web app bar color. Okay, and let me just check here because we are doing it right or not. Okay, so this is the web app bar color, and in here I want to start with the other things. So first of all, in the this is done, the decoration part is done. So the next thing I want is we want to use a row, because we want to show the image as well as some buttons in a line. So we want to use a row, and for this we will need the circular avatar to show the image, and radius will be, let's say, 22, and the background image will be a network image, and in the network image we will have to provide the URL. So I'm just going to get the URL of of simple user. So let's just use this URL, and okay, so we are going to use this URL, and I've copied this URL and I will paste it in the web profile. Okay, my bad. Okay, I've given the URL. So the next thing I want is that, let me just check it that if it's working fine or not. So I'm just going to copy web profile bar and paste it in here as web profile bar, and we'll have to import it. So I just import it, and let's just see if it's working fine or not. Okay, so it's looking a bit bad, and I will show it because we have not given the first of all, it's in center because we have not provided any other widget. We have just provided a single widget in the web screen, so it's showing it in the center. So it will be set to left once we provide another widget over here in the row. Okay, so it's looking good. So we're just going to set in the web profile bar, we are going to set it as, let me just change the width a bit, so it's, or let me just, in the responsive layout, let me just change it to 600, so it will be transferred to the web version. Okay, so it's all for development time, and I will change it soon as I upload it on GitHub. So next thing I want is I want to give, I've done with the circular avatar. So the next thing I want is that I want to provide something like this. So here I will give another row, and this row will be used to align the elements to the right of our screen. I'll show you once I'm done with it, or I'll just remove this row and I'll show you the error we will get. So we are going to use the icon button, and in the icon button we are going to set it like this, and icons dot comment, and it will be icon. Start comment, and okay, let me just give it like this. I've provided one icon button, and I'll provide the second one as well. Just copy it and paste it over there and put a comma. So I'm just going to put a comma over here, more words. Okay, so if you see in the right side, we are getting this error that we are getting the buttons aligned to the image. So if we set it the row to as main axis alignment, and we set the main axis alignment of the row to, let's say, space between, it will set the three widgets in this different spaces. Okay, so let's just wait and see how the results come out. Okay, as you can see, the image is in the right place. This button also looks good, but this doesn't have to be here. It's have to be with this button. So how we can get that is that we will put these two buttons in a separate row. So we will wrap this with a row, and when now we will get that thing. Okay, so this is the thing, and let's just give it as space around. Let's see how it looks. Okay, no, it's not looking good, so space between is it. And next thing I want is that I want to give, okay, so we are done with this, the web profile bar. The next thing we want is that we can give our name over here, but we don't want that, so let's just leave it. And in the web screen we need a search bar now, so we are going to make another widget as search, or let's just make it as web search bar dot. Okay, so in the web search bar, what we want is that we want to use a stateless widget, and it will be web search bar, and we're going to make it as material dot. Okay, so we'll use a scaffold over here, or no, we won't need a scaffold. We will be using the same thing we did in the previous one. So we want to use we want to take the same space as we did in the previous thing. So if we come to the web profile bar, we use the size, and then we use a container with the height this, and the width of 30%. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this because it's the same thing we did in the previous thing, the web profile bar, and we want to use the same width as like this in the web search bar. Okay, so let me just remove it, and it will be like this. So let me just set it. So now it's done, and the next thing we want is that we want to give padding, and the padding will be edge insets dot all. It will be 10, just like the previous one. So this is working fine, and the next thing will be the same as decoration of the app bar. So let me just copy this thing as well, because the code reusability factor is the main thing. So I'm just going to copy it, and I'm just going to import, and this should work. So I'm going to give it to the web screen. In place of the search bar, I'm going to provide the search bar. Okay, okay, so in the search bar, what we want next is that we want to give a child, and the child will be our text field. Okay, so the text field we will use, so first I will set the properties of the text field, then I'll set the hint text and all that. So first of all, I want to give a decoration. So in the decoration, I want to give the input decoration, and the input decoration will be, first of all, we want to set the field to true. The next thing, I will set the fill color, and the fill color will be search bar color. And let me just check the colors. Okay, message color, in here web chat box color. Okay, so we will use the web. Yeah, I've said I was trying to find this. So we will use this search bar color, and in the fill color we will use search bar color, and let me just run it because I think I must have mistaken the colors. Okay, while the app is loading, you can just, okay, it's the same color. I was not mistaken, I was right. Okay, so what I want over here is that I want to give a prefix icon, and the prefix icon will be the search icon, and the prefix will be icon, and it will be icons dot search, and let's say the size will be 18. So let's just rerun our app and see how it's looking. Okay, it doesn't okay, it's showing the search icon, but it doesn't look quite good. Let me just make some changes. Let me provide some padding. Okay, I'll give some padding over here, and I guess 8 should be enough. Or what we can do is that we should give it as symmetric, and we should give horizontal to, let's say, 15, and let's see how the text looks. Next thing we'll be doing is we will provide the hint text, and the hint text will be start a new chat, or we can just say search or start a new chat. Okay, and the hint style will be text style, and the text style will be font size dot, let's say, 15, and let me put a comma. Okay, so this is done, and we want to provide the border of our text field. So we are going to set the border, and in the input decoration I'm going to provide the border, and it will be outline input border, and the border radius will be border radius dot circular radius circular, and we'll set it to, let's say, 27, and border side will be border side, and the border side will be width will be 0, and the style will be border style dot none, okay. And we also want our content to be padded, so we will add content padding, and it will be h insets dot all, and the value will be 10. Okay, we have set the constructor to constant. Okay, we'll just rerun our app and let's see the changes. So app is running and it's looking good, but as we will change it, I have changed the value of the responsive layout from 900 to 600. It's showing like this, but it won't be showing like this in the web version. Okay, so let me just have just done this. So you can see that it will be shifted to the left once I give the widget over here, and it's looking just like the WhatsApp UI. Okay, so this is working, and let me just, okay, so this is working fine, and let me just close it. And in the web screen, in the web screen in the web screen I want the web screen. In the web screen, I've done two things. So the third one will be the chats. Okay, so the chats is the same thing as the chats page. Okay, so I'm going to give the chats page over here, and it will be like this: chats page, and let me put a comma. So our app is running in the web screen, and it's showing the chat page like this. However, it won't show like this because we will have to change things over here. We will when we will add things, it will change, and yeah, it looks good. So the next thing we want over here is that I'm going to add a container. So basically the container will be, the left part is done. So now we are going to add the right part, and in the container I'm going to provide the width, and let's just say, or we can use a size variable, so get the size of our screen, okay, and then we will use a size variable to get the screen sizes. Okay, so now we will use size dot width, and then we will multiply it by 0.7. so previously we did it with 0.3, so it divided it into we used the 30%, and now the rest 70% we will use it over here. And in the height, we want to give the height as well, so we will set the height, or we don't need to have the height. And then we will use the decoration. We'll set the box decoration, and let me just remove it. So in the box decoration, what we want is that we want to provide an image, because you know in the chats, in the right side there's an image showing. So we will use decoration image, and in the decoration image we will give the image, and we will need to use the image provider, the network image, and then it will be image network image, and the URL of this image will be over here in the colors file. I've given this, so let me just copy it and paste it over here, background image, and import this. So we have provided the URL of that image. The next thing I want is that I want to set the fit property. Okay, so I've provided the network image, and in the decoration I want decoration image, I will provide the fit, and the fit will be box fit dot cover. Okay, let me just resize the screen, and the changes will be a bit better to understand. Okay, so this is aligned in the left, and we will get the image once it's loaded in the right. Okay, so our image is loaded, and as you can see, we are getting the image as well as we are getting the responsive layout. If the width changes from 600, as we have set it to 900, we are getting something like this. But we won't be getting this because when we actually set it to 900, it will work fine. So at the time of development, we are using this. Also, you can set this to 25% of the screen, as we have set it to 30% and there is 70% is for the chats. We can set it to 25% and you can set this to 75% and it will look a bit good, but as we are working like this, it's fine. It depends on you. If you want to change it, you can. So one more thing, you might get an error where will be that in the background image the URL I provided doesn't actually allow us to load an image. It will load in the mobile, but it won't load in the desktop. And the reason behind it is that when I was running the application, it was running on Canvas Kit, and the Canvas doesn't allow us to actually load the images from any other sources. And you can read more about it in the course. You can just go in the flutter.dev and you can just read about it, cross origin images and all that stuff. I won't be covering that in this tutorial, so let's just start working. Okay, so the next thing I want over here is that in the container I want to give a child, and the child will be a column, and the column will contain the children as well as the chat bar. Okay, so we'll name it as web chat app bar. So it will just be, to differentiate between the two app bars, and then we will show chat list, or we'll just say it as messages list. And the next thing, we will show text field for the user to type text. Okay, just like in WhatsApp. So let me just make the text field over here, and then we will cover the web chat app bar and the messages list. And we also have to set the messages list in our mobile version of it. So here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to set the column child, and then I want to set, okay, now I've done this. So in the container I want to set the height, and the height will be obviously this the 70% of the screen. So we will use size dot height, and this will be, no, we actually don't need 70%. In this case we will use 0.07, because in the top container we have provided the 70% height. So I've provided the height to 0.07, and the padding will be edge insets dot all, and it will be 10. And then we want to give a decoration. The decoration will be box decoration, and the decoration will be colors, and we will say in the colors file, let me just see the color, and let me just take it as web chat box color, and we will paste it in here. The next thing we want is the border, and the border will be bottom, and border side will be color divider color. Okay, and let's just rerun our app, because I've done this and I'm running the HTML web renderer. So using the web renderer as HTML, I can actually load the images. So if I increase the size, I should see the image when it's loaded. Yeah, it's loaded, and I'm not seeing anything over here right now because my container doesn't have actually any child in it. So let me just give a child to the container, and the container will contain a row, so it will have children's. And in the children, first of all, I want icon button, and it will be 2 icon buttons. Let me just make this, and it will be icons icons dot. The first one will be emoji icon, emotions outlined, and let's just save it. The next will be, my bad, okay, so the next will be the attachment. So I'll just rename it to as attach file, and we'll change the size to 20, or we'll just leave the size and set the color to colors.gray, and we'll do the same for the previous one. I'm just going to copy the code and paste it and rerun our app. So to rerun, we'll just have to press R and it will rerun our app. So in this case, the web version of the Flutter web doesn't actually have the hot reload thing, so it just hot restarts. So if we open it, so yeah, we are seeing a bar and the chat as well as the attached file is showing, but we want it down here, not over there. So we'll set it up. So as the column doesn't have any other widget, it's just showing at the top, so there's not a big deal. We'll set it right now. So the next thing I want is that after the icon button, I want to use and expand it. After I'm done this thing, we'll set it down. So in the padding, what we want is that we want to get a padding, and the padding will be edge inserts dot only, and we'll provide left S10 and right S10, or we can use a symmetric thing, but yeah, let's just leave it for now. So next thing we want is a child, and it will be a text field. So the text field will be I've given. So the next thing is decoration of the text field, and the text field decoration will be input decoration, and in the input decoration we want to set the fill to true, and we will use the fill color as well. So we'll set the fill color as search bar color because it will be the same color, and the hint text will be type message. Also we can set the hint style, but there's no need of it because the standard size will work for us as of now. And then we are going to give outlined, sorry, it will be outline input border, and I'll have to give a comma over here. So the outline input border will take the border radius, and the border radius will be circular dot circular, and let's say 25, and then border side will be, the border side will contain width as 0. It's the same thing that we have done in the previous thing. So we'll provide the style, and it will be border style dot none. Okay, and we'll also set the content padding, but it will not be done over here, it will be done over here, content padding, and the content padding will be at insets.all, and we'll set it to 10. Okay, so let me just resize it and rerun the app, and you can see that okay, so it's just looking like the WhatsApp, the real WhatsApp. Okay, but it should be down here, not down, not up there. So we'll just set it in a, so we'll set it. The next thing we want over here is that we want to provide the messages over here, and as well as in the previous thing, in the mobile version, we also didn't provide the messages screen where the user can message each other. So what we can do is that to basically implement that, we will create a widget as messages. One thing I didn't implement it in the web version was a web chat app bar. So let me just implement that, and then we will move to the next thing. So we'll just make a file as web chat app bar dot, and let's just make, okay, so we are going to implement that, and we are going to set a stateless widget and rename it as web chat app bar, and we're going to make it as material dot, and here we want the same thing as the size. So we are getting this, we'll get the size through media query, and I'll just do this a little fast because I've done the same things previously. So I'll get the size, and in the container we'll give the width, and it will be size dot width, it will be multiplied by 0.7, and the height will be size dot height multiplied by 0.077, and then we want the padding, which insets dot all, and it will be 10. It's the same thing that we have done previously. So there's no change in it. Now what we want is that we want to give a child, and the child will be a row, and in the row there will be children. So first of all, I'm going to set the main axis alignment of this row. So the main axis alignment will be space between, and the child will be a row, and in the row there will be another child, and in this child we will use a circular avatar just like the previous one, and the radius will be 30. Background image will be network image. It's the same thing that we have done previously, and I'm going to give a URL of an image just like this. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it in here. So this is done, and the next thing I want is that I want to provide some space between the elements of the row. So let me just make it as size box. I'm going to use size box, and the size box, in the size box what I want is that I want the space to be adaptable to the size of the screen. So if the size of the screen changes, we want the space between the text and the image to change. Okay, so how we can get that? We are going to, so to do that, what we are going to use is that we are going to use a size.width and multiply it with 0.01, Okay, so this will basically set the width of the, or we can say that it will set the space according to the screen size. Okay, and the next thing we want is that we want to set a text, and it will use data dot 0, and we will just use the first chat and data dot 0, and then we are going to set the name, and we will set it to toString, and we'll have to import the data because okay, so it's working fine. And next thing we want over here is that we want another row, and in the row we want some children's, and before that I want to set the main axis alignment, and the main axis alignment will be space between. In the children, what I want is an icon button, and the icon button will be, the icon will be icons.search and we'll use icon over here, and the same thing we will do for the more vertical, so we will use more vert. Okay, and let me just run the app, restart our app, and let's see for the changes. One thing is that I didn't provide this chat app bar in the web screen, so I'm just going to paste it over here, and we'll have to import it. So it's not giving me an option, so I can just import it manually, or I'll just copy it and web chat app bar dot. Okay, and restart it, and wait for it to reload. Okay, so it's showing like this and it looks good. In the center we will show the chat messages, and this thing will come down. So now we want to show the chat messages, and to do that we are going to implement that. Okay, so what we are going to do is that in the widgets we want to show as chat messages dot. So the first one was chats page, the one I made previously was chats page, and this is now chat messages dot. And in the chat messages dot we want to put a stateless widget, and it will be chat messages, and we will set it to material dot. So here what we want is that we want to use list view dot builder to show the messages, and what we will do is that we want to set the item count, and the item count will be messages dot length. Okay, and the item builder will be okay, and we'll return, and or we will check first of all that if the messages in the index is user. Okay, so what this is, in the data, in the sample data we have a list of messages, and in the messages we have these two attributes, is user and the text. Okay, so the is user is basically what will define that if the sender is the actual user or is it from someone else. Okay, so in this case, if it's false, it's from someone else. If it's true, it's from, let's say if I am the sender, so it's from me, and this is from another person. Okay, so we are going to check that if the message is sent by me or by someone else. Okay, so we're going to check it, and is user is equals to true. Okay, so the value, if it's true, then we want to return that it's me. I'm going to set it as it's me. Else, or there's no need to set else, I'm just going to set as return, or I'm going to set it as other user. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to create cards for our chat messages. Okay, so to basically add the chat messages, what we want is that I'm going to create two widgets. First one will be let's say my card, or let's say my message card dot, and in this thing we will use stateless widget, and just remove it from here. Okay, so in here we want two things from in the constructor. So the first one will be a message, the actual text of the message, and the final string date, and we can also give the message type string. Okay, and then we will require this dot message, and the same we will do for date. Okay, so the next thing we want is that we want to use an alignment over here. So we will use the widget align, and we will set the alignment as this is the my message card. The message is from my side. I want to show the message in the right. Okay, so to do that, what we want is that we want to set the alignment dot center right. Okay, this is done. The next thing we want is that we want to show a child, and the child will be a constraint box. Okay, so the max, okay, for some, okay, it will be constraints. The constraints will be box constraints, and the box constraints will take the max width as media query dot of context dot size dot width minus 50. These are the values that are tried and tested, so if you want you can change them. There's not a big deal in it, so it's all depend upon you, but it works. So first of all, in the elevation we want to give the elevation as 1, and the shape will be rounded rectangular border, and in the border radius we want the border radius to be circular. Border radius dot circular, and let's say the border radius is 10. You can change the values if it doesn't look good. Message color, or we can send it as send message color. Okay, so it will basically show the color of the sender. Then we want a margin over here, and in the margin what we want is that we want edge insets dot all. We want the symmetric, and we want to set it as horizontal 5. Okay, next thing we want is a child, and the child will have a stack. So stack will have children's, and the first children will be a text, the actual message. So we will just set it as message, and the style will be text style, and the text style will be 16, font size will be 16. Okay, and we can set this into padding because I know it won't look good, so the padding can be of your choice. I will just set it to only, and in the only I will give some tried and tested padding. So it will be left will be 9, the right will be 28, and the top will be 5, the bottom will be 20. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so the next thing will be we want to position the time as well as the icon of that delivered message. Okay, so in here, so we will set this like that, and then we will use a positioned widget, and first of all we will provide the parameters. Bottom, it will be 4, and the right will be 10. Next thing will be child, and the child will be a row. So the child will be a row, and we'll have children's. In the children we will put a text, and the text will be date. Also we will have to set the style, so we'll set the style as text style, and this text style will be font size, it will be 13, and the color will be colors.white, and let's say it's 60. So this is done, and then we want some space, so I'll set this space using the size box. I'll provide width, and it will be 5. Next will be the icon that will show that the message was delivered or not. So in this case, as the data is not dynamic, we can just show icons.done all. Okay, and we'll set the size to 20, and the color will be colors.white, and it will be 60 as well. Okay, so one side of the message screen is created, the my message card is created. So the next thing we want is we want to use the sender's message card dot. So all the thing in the my message card, we will just copy it and use it in the sender's message card. And I just noticed one thing, that the name of our video, the class, is wrong, so we will just say it as sender message card, and in here in the my message card we will change it to my message card. Okay, so this is done. So in the sender's message card, what we want is that we want to set the text to the left. So we'll set this text to center left, and yeah, it should work fine. The only thing we will have a change in here is that in the positioned we will set the bottom to 2 and the right will be 10. So let's just run it and see if it's looking good or not. My message card, and the message will be messages index, and then we will provide the text, or we can use the same thing we've done previously, and this will be, let's say, what the message is equals to this, and then in this over here we can just set it to message. Also over here we can just set the message. So I'm just going to put this over here. So I've provided the message text.toString as well as the message. So in here what I want is that I want to use the time that is provided in the data. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it and rename my message card to sender message. Okay, what I've done, okay, I've not renamed it, so let me just rename it, sender message card. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it and import it. So this is done, and I'm just going to close it. So in the web screen, in the message list, we will provide the chat messages, and let me just rerun the app in the browser and just wait for it and see how it's looking. One thing is that in the sender's message card, the sender's color might be different. I think I've not changed that. Okay, I think I will have to use the expanded over here, because to actually show that in here, so I'm just going to wrap this in an expanded, and rerun my app, and the error should go. Okay, so as you can see that the text is looking fine. Okay, but it's too mashed up, so I'm just going to put in the my message card, I'm just going to use some padding in the text, and my message card, what I'm going to do is, so one thing I've missed over here is that in the series message color we will use something like this and restart our app, and actually just use in the constraint box, I'm the child, I will use the padding, and the same will be for sender's message card. These are all the iterations and the different things you can set for your application. So this is all working fine, and it looks good, by the way. So one thing I want over here is, I guess I've just shifted the colors, and let me just change it so it won't be send message color. I've actually mixed the colors, and I'm just going to change them. So rerun my application and let's just see. No, it's not looking good. In the my message, okay, I guess I have done something wrong. Okay, it's sender message card and it's the my message card, and the my message card has this color, send message color, and the sender message has a receiver message color. This is the thing that I want. Let's just rerun our app, and I think the problem should be solved, but it isn't. Okay, so I actually didn't save the text, so it was not working fine. So as you can see now, all the things is working fine. One thing that is not working, that when we click on it, in this case it won't open a chat. Okay, and so here we will add the what we want is that we want to open a new screen when we click on one of the chats. Okay, so I'm just going to open the mobile screen, and in the mobile screen I'm just going to go to the chats page. In the chats page we use the tile, in there we use an inkwell, and in the inkwell now we are going to add the functionality. So what we want over here is that whenever the user presses on any chat list or any chat, we want to open a screen. Okay, so what we are going to do over here is that we want to use navigator dot off dot push, and here we want to use material page route, and in the material page route we want to show we want to use the context, and then we will use message. Wait a second, let me just, okay, this is chat messages. So we start our application and let's just see how it's looking. So it's looking fine, but in the mobile screen we want to actually add an app bar and as well as the text field in the application. Okay, so in here what we want is that we want to set, we will create a screen to show the messages in our mobile screen. So I'm just going to make it as message screen dot and let's just rename to stl, and this will be mobile message screen. Okay, so let me just rename it to okay. So in here we will use material dot and first of all I'm going to use the scaffold. In the app bar we will use an app bar, and the app bar will take a title. The title will be text, and let's just say okay, and we want to set the center title to false because iOS devices actually use this to center. so we will set it explicitly to false. Then we'll use the background color and we'll use mobile app bar color. Okay, and next thing we want over here is that we want to use some buttons, so we'll provide actions and it will be icon button. The same we will use over here icon, and it will be video call, and okay, this is missing, icons dot video call, and we will need 3 buttons like this, so I'm just going to, okay, my bad, I copy the actions from there. So let me just put a comma over here and copy 3 buttons like this. And the next thing I want over here is the icons dot call and then more word. Okay, so these are the actions buttons that I want over here, and I will run it when I'll just complete it because it's simple. So here we need a column. Okay, wait a second, we need a column over here, and then the column will have children's. So here we will actually import the chat messages. So in the mobile screen that uses chats page, I don't actually have to use it over here. I will use it in the mobile message screen and use the mobile message screen over here, use the chats page. Next thing I want is the text field to be shown over here, so I'm just going to use a text field, and text, it will be text field. So the text field will contain the decoration and it will be input decoration, and we'll put a comma, and it will be input decoration, and input decoration will be, first we'll set it the color to true, fill to true, and then we'll set the filled color to mobile chat box color. Okay, so next thing we want is the prefix icon. So in the prefix icon we want to show an icon button. So the icon button will not have anything in the on press, but it will contain icon, and the icons will be icons dot emoji emotions, and the suffix icon will be okay, my bad, in the input decoration I'll have to give the suffix icon. So the suffix icon will be a row, and it will be children's, and in the children's, in the rows, sorry, we will use main axis alignment and we'll set it to end, because if we don't, it will just stack it up over the prefix icon. So we want to use an icon button, and the on press will not provide anything, and the icon will be icons dot chat file, icons dot attach file. If we don't use the row, it will be stacked up in the prefix icon over the prefix icon, so we will have to use a row because we need 2 icons, and the row has to be main axis alignment dot end, because we need to actually put the show the icons, these 2 icons at the end. so that's why we are using the main access alignment dot end. So we're just going to show two buttons over here. So the second will be camera alt, and we'll set the color to colors.gray, and it will be colors.gray, and we'll do the same for the second one. And yeah, so let me just restart our app and let's see how it's looking. So if I click on this, let's save it and let's just restart it. So let's just wait for it, and okay, I have done something wrong. Actually, we don't want the mobile message screen over here. In the mobile screen, we actually have to show the chats page, and in the chats page we will see the text messages. So in the what we want over here is that in the chats page where we use the tile, we actually want the user to be sent to mobile message screen. Let me just make sure that is okay. Let's just restart it and we will see the changes right now. Okay, we are getting this chat page because in here I used the chats page, and we don't need to use the chats page. Instead, we will use the chat messages in here. So we'll just copy it, and instead of chat messages we'll use chats page, and then rerun our application, and this should work fine. So when I click on these, you can see that we get an option and it's working fine. So that's all for now, guys, and one thing I have to do is that I'll change the width from 600 to 900 and restart my application. So let's just wait for it. Okay, so this is working fine and this is responsive, because when the size will change, it will change the, as you can see that now till the width is smaller than 900, it's showing the mobile screen, and when the screen size changes from 900 and it gets greater, it changes from 900 it changes from the mobile screen to the web screen. Okay, and onwards it's the web screen. Okay, so that's all for now, guys. Thank you.